Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Don't be the classic.
All right, welcome back to another episode of The Pint. My name is John, and I'm here solo, no Lloyd this week, but I'm not alone, that's for sure. I have with me today, I don't know, man, the godfather of independent podcasting. Is that fair to say? He's my friend. He's probably your friend too, and it's been way super long overdue to have him on. It's Ken from the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Ken, what is going on up in the 607 today?
Well, first and foremost, John, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I have been a longtime Pint listener since way back in the day. I have been with this show so many times. I love what you do here, and it is an honor that you even asked me to come on. And up here in the 607, it is a little crazy right now because one of the topics we talk on the ODPH is pro wrestling. And as we're recording, the man, the myth, the very noteworthy figure, Vince McMahon, has just stepped down from the WWE. So it is gone absolutely haywire right now. So it's been a little something today.
Well, first of all, your words are super kind. I don't jest when I say godfather of independent podcasting. You are probably easily the most supportive person out there for shows and retweets and all of that stuff. I can't thank you enough for all the support you've given us. But let's shine a light on you real quick. Tell everybody out there that has not heard of the ODPH what you guys are about, the breadth of the different, the episodes, all that stuff.
Okay, so the whole recipe goes like this. The ODPH talks of parlay topics each and every week. So whether it's sports, movies, TV, comics, pro wrestling, music, chances are myself, along with the illustrious panel of Padawan Jay and your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy, when we can get him in studio, are breaking it down. Plus, I also do 607 TWS on Twitch and in podcast form with my partner in pod, Rich from the Three Fat Nerds podcast. And I'm also doing 2 weekly blogs for pro wrestling, Blogs Count Anywhere, and new comic book day releases, and trying to give everybody as much content as I can. And that is pretty much my life in a nutshell right now.
Yeah, it's dude, I follow you, listen to stuff, and I'm always like, I try to get out an episode a week, and sometimes I feel like it's impossible, and then you're doing all of this stuff. I don't know if you're manufacturing time somehow. If you are, I'll take some, whatever it costs.
Yeah, I wish I had a formula for it. I'm just somebody that just, when we get in the microphone, the team just really goes to work, and we just know that it's like, okay, now's the time to strike. If we're going to do this, let's do this. And everybody, it's really cool when we have everybody committed to it. And that's one thing that makes this very easy between the whole ODPH team and 8122 Productions. That's the home of 3FN and 607 TWS and Horror Zone 607. Everybody is really just 100% all in about it. So it's like when we got a chance to do something, we really just go at it. And it's made to be easy, even though it's a lot of stuff and a lot of time consuming, that just at the end of the day, just looking back and seeing we get to do all these crazy experiences and meet awesome people like yourself, it makes it all worthwhile.
Oh, man. And thank you very much. And we talk a lot about, we're saying 607 a lot. What is 607? What is that all about?
607 is the area code for Binghamton, New York, and that is where we all reside. And that has kind of been our mantra, that when I met Rich, well, I've known Rich and his team for a little while, since before I got into podcasting, more so Rich than anybody. And then when we started doing our shows, we were just interconnecting actually between former friends. And all of a sudden we just clicked together and everybody's like, you're doing a podcast? Oh, you're doing one? Okay, cool. And just everybody just kind of merged together. And our teams have just been so much in sync that when we were trying to think of like what to really define it, I think Rich tweeted out first, or I did 607 podcast, because we just were so like in tune to like our area and really trying to be the best thing we can be here and really try to take it and go from here to the rest of the world, I guess. And it's just kind of taken on a life of its own, and it's something that to see how it spawned now in the time of 4 years, technically, even though we're 3 if I got started in 4 years, seeing how everybody's grown, and especially those guys too, man, they have such a kick-ass podcast.
Yeah.
And seeing just how everybody's just kind of exploded and just bigger and better opportunities for the whole squad. We always have a saying, when one wins, we all win. And that's just the motto we all carry with us.
No joke with just like the positivity, the energy. It's all really good, man. A question just out of curiosity, Binghamton, how far are you from Rochester, New York? Is that close?
About 3 hours.
Okay. Cause I've always wanted to go to Rochester just to try a garbage plate. Have you ever had a garbage plate in your life?
Yes. I have not had
jealous.
one in ages, but yes, it is a life-changing experience.
All right. Well, garbage plate, I'm not going to get into it right now, but if you want to look it up, go to Wikipedia. Garbage plate, it's a regional food in Rochester, New York, and just take the name and you pretty much have an answer as to what it is.
Yes.
So before we talk about what we're going to talk about today, I always like to kind of like gauge new guests and get some personality questions in there. And I've been doing this one. I did this one once before. I'm going to do it on you as well. We just talked about food a little bit. So I'm going to be your waiter today, and I'm going to ask you for your breakfast order. I'm going to give you options, and I want to know what you would get for breakfast. And I think by all of your answers, that's going to unlock your personality and your deepest, darkest desires to everybody out there. They're going to know everything they need to know about you, Ken. All right, so you ready?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right, so you don't have a breakfast in America without eggs, unless you're intolerant, unless you have some kind of issue. But if you were an egg eater, or if you are, how are you ordering your eggs, Ken?
My go-to eggs are always scrambled.
Wow, you're the second I'm an over easy guy. I'm
Really?
always like scrambled for me is like the last option.
Wow. See, it's the opposite for me. Over easy just does nothing for me. And I guess like I'm just too stuck in my ways. Like I am very it's traditional in my ways. Like I'm very superstitious, so I don't like going outside the box too much.
Oh, that's
and
fair.
Scramble was kind of like the first thing I got into, so I always kind of stick to my guns about it.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so then I'm going to give you 3 choices for a side meat. There's 3 general main choices we have here in the States. It's some form of sausage, whether it be a patty and or a roll, a little link, bacon or ham. Ham seems to be the third popular option. What would you go for in that?
Okay, so it is bacon almost by default. And one, I love bacon, so I usually eat that on everything I can. Sausage, I have been traumatized from a very bad food poisoning experience.
Okay.
That I cannot go to breakfast. Like I will eat it begrudgingly. I will still eat it, but I'm not going to go like, for me, like I can't do Dr. Pepper. Like it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I just can't drink it. I'm just like, if I have to, I'm pain faced. But this is one of the situations like I can go to, but I'm always very cautious because, like I say, when I had food poisoning for 3 days and nearly wound up in the hospital because of it, I've like sworn off it for breakfast. And then ham, for some reason I can't do that at breakfast, but I can eat it the rest of the day.
All right, that's fair. I think ham is the lowest answer anybody would give for breakfast. Generally, it's not bacon or sausage, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So toast. Let's go with a couple options: white, wheat, or rye. What are you going for toast?
Used to be white, now it's wheat because I got on my health kick.
Okay. All right. I'm still a white guy. I think I'm leaning towards starting wheat. It doesn't taste bad. It was just kind of one of those things where I don't know. I grew up eating white bread, so I like white bread. But I think wheat probably has some qualities to it.
Wheat does. Like it took me a while, but a few years back, I had a really bad health scare, and I was really told like clean up your diet or else.
Right.
So I literally just started forcing myself to eat wheat, and then I was like, okay, I'm all in.
How do you feel about bread when they put like? Have you ever had bread where they put like seeds on it? I hate that. I
hate that. I
fucking hate that.
When I see that, I'm like, really? Like, if I want to eat a garden, I just go out back and grab a spoon and just shovel my garden, like grass. Like, I'm like, why are you doing this to me? I don't want anything special. If I want bread, give me bread.
Yeah, just bread. Just bread with dry bread with nothing on the outside of it. Okay, perfect.
Exactly.
This one's the starch. Potatoes, are you going to go for like the classic home fries? And by what I mean by home fries is like chopped up grilled potatoes with like onion and the delicious seasonings, or like say hash browns, like a McDonald's style hash brown. What are you going for there?
McDonald's hash browns all day.
Yeah.
I will do them or tater style.
Okay. All right. So like a tater tot type thing or something like that.
Yeah, whichever way I can get it. Yeah, that style, absolutely. I cannot do the other way.
All right. And then the last two questions, coffee or tea?
Coffee all day.
Coffee all day,
I
yeah.
do not function unless I have 2 cups, like at the bare minimum.
All right. It's 2-cup Ken over here. And then, a part of a full breakfast that they show in commercials, people always have a juice as well. Are you going for OJ or are you going for apple juice?
Primarily OJ, but occasionally I'll switch it up. I don't mind either, but I usually try going OJ because it's a little healthier.
Okay. And OJ, here's the big question, because I know what I like. Like no pulp, some pulp, or like you're chewing on an orange. I like to chew. I like as much pulp. Put as much pulp in that orange juice as you can. If I try to pour it out, nothing comes out, and an orange rolls out of it, I'm fine with that. Where are you at?
Opposite way. If I even have like any kind of pulp, like if I want to eat an orange, I'll eat an orange. If I'm drinking it, I don't want anything remotely in that.
Nothing solid. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so everybody out there now, go subscribe to all of Ken's things. We'll give out all the we'll give out all the social media addresses at the end. Check the shows out, do all that. But now you know all about him, so you can feel comfortable listening to that first episode. If it's the first episode, and you can go, I know about this guy's food poisoning incident. I feel like I'm close to him. So that's wonderful. So Ken, you came on and I told you, I think I said, pick a movie from like 2012. Let's do something that had celebrated a 10-year anniversary. You gave me a couple choices and I latched onto one. What was the choice you gave me, Ken, that we decided to talk about today?
I gave you the second movie and arguably the third greatest American film franchise of all time, behind Fast and the Furious and Sharknado. And that is Sylvester Stallone's epic action adventure drama. It just pulls at your heartstrings so much.
Oh, yeah.
The Expendables 2.
The Deuce, as we call it around here. The
Yes.
Expendables 2. Now, before we start talking about the movie and getting into all that stuff, you had mentioned a visceral reaction that one of your friends had at the opening night. Can you explain what happened?
Yeah, I can. So if you listen to the ODPH, we do have a very close friend of the show. We call him the dog. He is basically the silent Bob to all of the 607 podcasts. And he does not go out to movies that often. Like, it's usually like 5 a year. It's just, that's how he is. When he saw the lineup for the Expendables, and especially Expendables 2, he was like, and this is how he talks. He's like, buddy, I'm all in. And we went to the theater. And after the first 10 minutes of the film, he got up, and he is always known for yelling a Ric Flair, woo! He yells it in the middle of the theater, and me and him are actually up doing a standing ovation clapping, like this is the greatest thing ever. And he was just so fired up. Like, everybody in the theater's like looking, and he's like, what? Turn around, folks, go!
Yeah, you can't be offended by someone of that exuberance if you're at the Expendables 2. You've got to kind of expect that, right?
Oh, absolutely, because it's a celebration. I mean, you're going in there and you're seeing such an over-the-top action film that, like, literally trying to describe to anybody is just basically throw Michael Bay's 4th of July party in a can, mix in Pabst Blue Ribbon and a soundtrack of Kid Rock, and you are ready to go.
Yeah, it's apostrophe Murica for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, even though they try to make it a little international, and we'll talk about that, it's certainly apostrophe Murica. All right. The Expendables 2 was released on August 17th of 2012, directed by Simon West. He directed Con Air and the first Lara Croft Tomb Raider film. The story was by some guys here, David Agosto, Ken Kaufman, and Richard Wenk. Now, the screenplay was by Richard Wenk, who had written Vamp way back in like 85 or 86 with Grace Jones, the vampire movie that she was in.
Oh
he also did the 2 recent Equalizer films with Denzel, and Sylvester Stallone He wrote Rocky, of course, and he co-wrote Over the Top. He's co-written so Stallone's one of those guys you might not know. He co-writes a ton of things, directs a ton of things too. So let's get into the cast of this thing.
Shabuya roll call.
Let's talk about who is in the Expendables. All right, so we mentioned Sylvester Stallone. He plays Barney Ross, and I have their specialties here too. He's the leader. That's his specialty.
Yeah.
Stallone from Rambo and Cliffhanger, and from being a megastar for the last 50 years. Jason Statham plays Lee Christmas. He is the Expendables knife expert. You know him from Meg, that terrible fucking movie, and Snatch.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it is. So me and the Manster saw that. Like, it was such a memorable yet bad experience. Jet Li plays, yes, this is the character's name, Yin Yang. He is the hand-to-hand expert of the Expendables. He was a ton of Chinese productions, obviously. In America, you might know him from Lethal Weapon 4, and a really great movie, really kind of underrated, called Unleashed, if you've never seen that.
Ooh, yes, that is a very good movie.
Yeah, he's insane in that. Dolph Lundgren comes back as Gunnar Jensen. He didn't, in the lineup I had, he doesn't have a specialty, so he's the smart one, though. Rocky IV, Universal Soldier. Every single joke in this movie that's made about his intelligence, where they talk about he was a MIT chemist and he's a Fulbright scholar, those are all real. Dolph Lundgren is a super genius in real life. And every time they mention, like, his character's, intelligence, all that's actually about Dolph Lundgren, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Randy Couture, someone you've probably talked about a million times, being a UFC UFC show commentator and everything. He plays Toll Road. So he's the demolition expert. You might know him from, obviously, as I said, he's an ex-UFC fighter, the Scorpion King 2, and having a mean fucking case of cauliflower ear. Oh, man.
One of the worst ever. Oh, my God, yeah.
Does it always feel irritated, or is it just dead? Like, it just seems like such a nightmare to have to deal with that.
I'm sure at this stage in the game, like, early in his career, he was getting hit so many times, and, like, it just would puff up like that. I'm sure he doesn't even feel it anymore. Like, it's got to just be numb. It
just looks like if you touched it, it would be like if you touched a part of your body that was infected or something, like it would hurt. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's probably he's just used to it. Absolutely crazy. Terry Crews plays Hale Caesar. He's the barrel weapons expert. Obviously Brooklyn Nine-Nine and another underrated film I've always enjoyed called Gamer, if you've never seen that. Liam Hemsworth. Oh, check that out. Gamer. It's from the guys who made Crank and Crank 2.
Okay.
Gerard Butler. It's actually a pretty interesting movie. Liam Hemsworth plays Billy the Kid. He's the sniper. Let's see. He was cast in the first film, and then his part was taken out of the first film totally. And Stallone told him, if we make a sequel, I'll get you back into it. So, hey, look, Stallone did what he said he would do. Mm-hmm. He's the brother of Thor. And he was in Independence Day Resurgence and a film called Arkansas. And then let's go to the bad side here. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays Jean Villain, who's the villain of the film. Bloodsport and Lionheart, you all know who he is. Now, that's like the main cast. I'm not going to go through everybody, but let's just point this out. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Chuck Norris, Charisma Carpenter, they're all in this as well at different points. And if you're wondering, Jesus, it seems like everybody's in this. Here's who wasn't in it that they tried to get in it. Mickey Rourke, who was in the first movie.
Right. He
did not want to come back for the second. So the plot of this movie is the Expendables are on a vengeance mission because Billy the Kid gets murdered by Jean Villain. In the original script, it was supposed to be Mickey Rourke's character. But because he said he didn't want to come back, you know how he is. He's all high on himself. This is probably around the time of Iron Man 2. So he probably thought, I could do anything I want now. So they changed it and shifted it. But they also tried to get, let's see, Charlie Sheen was supposed to play a character that was trying to find the Bruce Willis character in a subplot. They got rid of that.
Interesting.
Nicolas Cage and John Travolta both couldn't because of scheduling issues. Yeah. Face Off.
Oh, totally. Face Off.
Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, and Antonio Banderas all couldn't do it for different reasons. Banderas ended up in the third movie.
Right.
Now, Ken, I got to ask you a question right off the bat. Jet Li disappears from this movie early on. I never really thought much about it. I'd only seen this movie once before. Do you know, like, about all the filming with Jet Li? Did you notice anything weird when you watched the movie?
I thought either he had some other prior engagement, like they purposely did him short just to get him in and get him out of the movie. Like something was going on, and like either he didn't want to do the movie, but he's like already kind of committed. If memory serves me right, I could be wrong about this though.
So there was supposed to be a co-production between an American company and a Chinese company, and the Chinese company wanted to get Donnie Yen in the film. And when things fell through, the Chinese company pulled out, and Jet Li kind of pulled out of a starring role as well.
Okay.
So here's the thing. If you're going to watch The Expendables 2 based on listening to this podcast, I urge you to pay attention because I paid more attention this time. Jet Li is in the first opening action sequence. That was filmed in Bulgaria, but it's supposed to take place in Nepal.
Yep.
Jet Li is actually in China filming. If you pay attention, you never see him interact with anybody in the movie, any of the Expendables, because his stuff is all filmed separately. And every time they have a scene where like they come together, it's either a body double or it's a quick shot. The only shot where they show him with another Expendable is on the plane, on the far side of the plane with Dolph Lundgren, and his face was inserted with like a computer program.
Get out. Yeah. Okay, now that you're pointing that, yeah, because I was like, I figured they just gave him his solo time because I remember it was something at the time like he couldn't commit. Like I guess that's what I read. So I figured, okay, they're just gonna film his scene and then just be done. But I didn't realize like he was walking from the movie though.
Go back and watch the first 20 minutes if you get a chance this weekend, and pay attention to the fact that you'll see all the rest of them together. You never see Jet Li with them, and when you do, it's like far away shots. It's done very. Like, it's movie magic. They had to take the indoor sets, and ship them to China for him to film his half, because when they're all in the beginning in that, like, raid in the Jeeps and everything, he's inside. And that's how they differentiate it. Like, he'd already gotten inside. So, yeah, it's interesting, especially if you go back and rewatch it. He's not with them at all.
Yeah, see, I just figured that with Stallone stacking that cast like he did, there's just only so many times you can give, these A-list superstars screen time. So I just figured, well, we got to just make a cut here, cut there. And obviously the movie is driven around Stallone and Statham. So it's like they got to get their 45 minutes of fame there.
Yeah. So we get the opening salvo, which is the big beginning. It is this giant raid on a compound, essentially. We find out that it's a Chinese billionaire is being held captive, but someone else is being held captive as well. The prior rescue was Arnold Schwarzenegger and his character of Trench, I love this name, Trench Mauser, who is the leader of like another group of expendable type people. What do you think, Ken, about this whole opening sequence with all these vehicles and using a motorcycle to knock a helicopter out of the sky?
See, I just was sitting there watching again, and I'm going, you know what? For being this highly elite fighting squad, all their vehicles look like ragtag Mad Max, mock-ups.
Yeah. That
they're falling apart, and yet they're somehow destroying this highly skilled army. This is like G.I. Joe come to life, because it's just so over the top, like mind numbing of like what's going on. Like you have to take any kind of realism out of this first and foremost when you watch these movies. Otherwise, your head will literally explode. But as you're watching them, like their stuff is falling apart. Stallone, as you touched on, used a motorcycle to take down the helicopter, and I'm like, does that happen? No, just roll with it. And you're just seeing like people literally explode at the random shots, because they're not exactly doing one shot, one kills. They're like dumping rounds into people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's mass murder. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's just so over the top. I mean, it's amazing, but it's also like, what are we doing here?
This film was initially announced, and this was announced by Stallone, as being planned on being a PG-13 movie. They wanted to expand. Yeah, they wanted to expand from the original film and make it so that more people could see it. And they said they filmed it that way. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ken.
Well, actually, if memory serves me right, it was because of Chuck Norris. Because Chuck Norris did not want to do rated R stuff anymore.
He asked them to tone it down a little bit, but they went the opposite direction. But one of the things that's interesting is that they filmed it with the mindset of PG-13, but as the movie went along and it was getting more violent and more violent, that a lot of the extreme deaths and the blood splatter were added afterwards. They said one of the visual effects supervisors in an interview said they filmed it to be a very dry, like if you got shot, there was barely any blood. But then when they decided to just go hard R, they went in afterwards. And there's a ton. This movie, I didn't write down the amount. They spent a ton of money on digital effects in this movie. The whole first scene where they're attacking that base in Nepal, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be in Nepal, which is like,
it's supposed to be in Nepal.
Arid kind of jungly place. It was filmed in Bulgaria. They had to spend money to digitally remove the snow that was on the ground so that it wouldn't look like Bulgaria. Yeah, it's some for a movie like The Expendables 2, there's some interesting factoids on this thing.
That's insane.
So Ken, what vehicle would you want the most out of all of these? You want like the battering ram one? Do you want the one with the bike on the front that when you spin it around and drive through stuff backwards, you can ram stuff down? Which one would you take?
I gotta go with the battering ram because looking at that whole lineup, that was the only one I think would actually make it about 5 miles.
Yeah.
Like everything else, I was waiting for it to fall apart, to be honest with you. Like, because you can see, like, even the metal that they use as shields, it was like the D-list A-team squad, like barely holding up as they're getting all this fire, and yet they're going through completely unscathed. It's I gotta go with the battering ram for that, to go back to topic.
Not so mega force is what these vehicles were kind of like.
Oh my God, no.
For sure. And when you said G.I. Joe, I totally thought of that. With like, Toll Road and Hail Caesar and like, were there figures, Ken, did they ever make expendable toys?
The only thing I knew is they had a video game.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for a franchise. Like, how can you not make this just a regular series? Like, this could be the Call of Duty franchise, to be honest with you. But you have, toll lines like, let him go, Gunna. Let him go.
Yeah.
Like, all throughout. I mean, these dramatic lines. Like, it just writes itself. I don't know. Like, I wish they would come back for 10-year anniversary and just start doing these action figures. They need to.
Yeah, it's very surprising. This is a line that seems built for like a NECA series or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit as we get into this about like the dialogue. How do you feel about the dialogue? Because I got to be honest, I hadn't seen this one in a while. And I haven't seen the first one in a while either. I enjoy the first one, but man, is there some flat bad dialogue in this, or am I just being harsh?
No, the dialogue is awful. Yeah. The dialogue is like literally what happens when you're watching Rocky at about 3:00 in the morning and trying to write a movie, because you're just getting inspired to just say some of the worst lines possible, like the one Arnold says, "Your ass is terminated."
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then, cut me loose, Frankenstein. Like, seriously, guys, like, what are we doing here? It's so bad. It's good, though. Like, that's the thing about it.
I do have to admit, when Schwarzenegger comes at the end and saves them, when he says, "I'm back," that was exciting. I'm not going to lie. That was a good moment. All right. So they go in and they take care of business, and we get this whole, like, subplot that's kind of schmaltzy of, Billy the Kid is this new member of the team, and the Stallone character obviously likes him a lot and feels something for him, which means only one thing can happen to Billy the Kid, Ken. What's going to happen to Billy? He's got to die, right? I mean,
oh my God, yeah, they set it up like within the first 5 minutes of the dialogue, you're like, oh, he's dead.
He's totally dead.
Because when he's explaining, hey, listen, man, I don't know, I want to go meet up with my girlfriend in France. I don't want to do this anymore. Is there any chance you can get me out of this? Oh, yeah, just, if you want to go, it's one more mission. Yeah, it's fine. Like, oh my God, we're still setting this up.
Yeah, when Billy says the line in the bar that, he wants to leave and he wants to move on and everything, but then he's like, I want to finish off the month. It's like, Billy, The Expendables is not McDonald's. You do not have to give 2 weeks notice. You could just leave.
Exactly.
Take your money and fucking go.
Yeah, it's like you're called the Expendables for a reason.
Yeah.
In other words, you are the epitome of this universe's Suicide Squad. Like, you're not meant to make it back in one piece. If you do, it's a bonus.
Hey, Barney, I don't think I want to do this anymore. My last day will be Tuesday the 19th. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Like, I was waiting for Stallone to go, like, well, you got to go talk to HR.
Yeah, I'm going to have to send you down to HR.
Yeah.
So they get they get another mission, and Billy goes on it. And to further impact Billy's impending death, he tells a heartfelt story about like his time in Afghanistan on the plane. Mm-hmm. So you're like, you could literally see him digging his own grave. Mr. Church, the Bruce Willis character from the first film, who's like some kind of operative, comes to Barney and tells him, hey, look, from the last time, the first movie, you still owe me a favor. If you don't do it for me, I'm going to toss you in jail. Guantanamo, actually, is what he says. So they have to go do it. Total, Dewey Egg Machina, plot device. They have to go find some kind of like little, like computer box, and they get a new member of the team. Who's the new member of the team, Ken, that they get from Mr. Church? He tells them, take her with you.
Oh, that is, what's her name? Give me a sec. Maggie. Yes.
And she's a Chinese national, but she's some kind of badass. They don't really get into it too much. And all she really does in this movie is kind of like give these like pouty stares at different people.
Yeah, it was kind of like, what are you doing on this team? Because like, I mean, she had like some action scenes, but not enough. And it was kind of like, we're just going in to hook up this laptop and download some secrets.
Yeah. Reasons. That's what she's there for. She's there for reasons. And they get to this downed plane. They get the box they have to get. But then in the form of all villainy, the Sangs show up, which is like this, I guess this gang and or kind of, I don't know, a gang of miscreants that are running this area. And who is the leader of this? Who have we found to be the bad guy in this Expendables?
Oh, the man, the myth, the legend himself from such films as Street Fighter and Kickboxer, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
That's right. Are you a JCVD guy or were you a Steven Seagal guy? You got to be one or the other.
I was always JCVD.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I just like Seagal. I believed when I was younger he could definitely throw down, but it's like Van Damme used to just do the wildest kicks, so I'm just like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. Were you also of the mindset when you were younger and watching a Van Damme movie that you could never tell if that last kick the last like spinning kick that he used to beat the bad guy in every movie, if he did it just once or if he actually did it like 5 times and I could never tell if they were replaying the one kick in the movies, but they would always show him doing it about 6 times from different angles.
See, I think they did one take because I think they were worried he was going to hit somebody the second time.
Yeah.
So like they were smart enough to just tape it from all different angles and they can just cut and splice wherever they needed to.
He has taken Billy the Kid hostage. His right hand man is Scott Adkins, who is one of these guys that is in every direct-to-video like martial arts movie that's been made in the last like bunch of years. If you're not familiar with him, he was actually one of the facts I found was funny was Hard Target was the 1993 Jean-Claude Van Damme film that John Woo made. When they eventually made a direct to video sequel, it was Scott Adkins in that same role, I guess. So he's that guy. Kind of like in the first movie you had Stone Cold Steve Austin was, the side bad guy. He was another one, by the way, that was asked to come back for this movie and didn't. I thought he had died in the first one, but apparently he didn't. But
it was kind of one of those. If he came back, it would have been explained because it's Stone Cold. But yeah. I think a lot of them after the first time kind of saw what happened and like, okay, this is cool, but I don't want to be doing this for 3 or 4 films because, reasons.
Yeah, it'll get to be a bit too much after a while. So Billy the Kid gets killed. Van Damme, Villan kills him in what might be the stupidest kill in the history of movies. Ken, how does explain to the listener if they've never seen this, how he kills Billy the Kid?
So first he's sitting there and he's basically explaining his plan to Stallone and his team because, well, he's a supervillain and this is what we do. And he has Billy the Kid sitting there and Billy's defiantly saying, don't worry about me, Barney. I'm okay. And Barney just keeps saying, let him go. Like, that must be like this whole tagline. Like, some people have their catchphrases for Stallone's Barney must be, let him go. So they're standing there having this like 10-minute talk. And Van Damme is basically just sitting there like, nah, like, you're going to give me the information I need or I'm just going to kill him. And first he cuts him completely with his blade that is just like out of like, I don't know, it almost seemed like a Final Fantasy blade, like how big this thing is. Seriously, like he's just carrying it around and he cuts Hemsworth straight across the chest. So like he's going to probably die of this wound anyway. And Barney is just sitting there screaming at him, like doing whatever he wants. Now, and first and foremost, we have to remember the team's name is Expendables, right?
Yeah.
But yet we're still worried about the weakest link on the team because he's the youngest member. It's not like he has any seniority there. But Stallone is still playing it like, okay, we're still going to do whatever we can. So after they give Van Damme what he wants, they stand up Hemsworth. They line up the sword right by his heart. And because Van Damme is Van Damme,
Exactly.
he kicks that sword straight through his heart, killing him almost instantly. But, of course, Hemsworth has got to give that final word of, motivation to Stallone.
Yeah, he gives him the World War II, reach in my pocket. He's got a note for his girl, kind of thing. And, I remember thinking it was goofy when I saw this movie 10 years ago. And then when it was coming up, I'm like, oh, does he kick the knife through his heart? Like, how stupid he does. They get away in a helicopter. So now it's a revenge mission. These guys are the Expendables are now like kind of stuck behind enemy lines because the Sang run this whole area. Eventually they end up in this old, which I thought was a cool concept, like this old town made up to look like a USA town that I think they said the Russians or whoever it were used like to do like battle exercises. Mm-hmm. So they go in there and they stay overnight and they have their little dialogue and, everybody's got to have their little cutesy moments. Terry Crews is talking about how much he loves rigatoni and, they're building their camaraderie as it were. For me, I don't know about you, Ken. I think for me, the best part of these films is just seeing these guys all together because, we're probably of a similar age where in 1985, you're not going to have seen, like there was one point where Schwarzenegger and Stallone were on the screen together. And I thought to myself, if this happened in 1985, I would have died of a heart attack.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's the beauty of these films, in all seriousness. Seeing these action stars from the 80s and early 90s come together for a film. Now, they could have literally just sat around a bar and just told stories, and it would have been entertaining.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're reliving the best 80s film in the 2000s with 90s CGI, it is just that over the top that if you grew up watching these dialogue lacking big action films, like this plays right into your heart. And this is like why this connects. Like I say, for my friend, the dog who comes out, he grew up the same way watching this. And that's why he was so pumped up to see this, because like you touched upon, if we were a kid and you said Stallone, Willis, and Arnold were going to be doing something other than Planet Hollywood openings, we would have like all lost our minds.
Yeah. And their egos at that point and their paychecks were too big. They weren't going to do it.
Oh God, no! It would have been like to think to relate it to now terms, like it would basically be trying to do an Avengers movie back then with all the for Infinity War and Endgame, like getting that many stars together under one roof. Except it would have been less because those contracts would have been huge.
Yeah, they wake up the next morning and you kind of get some joking at Lundgren's character for snoring, but then they get sieged upon, and the bad guys know where they are. The Sang know where they are. They bring a tank along. And they start blowing the shit out of this this area. But suddenly, when they're outgunned and almost out of ammo, every single bad guy, the tank gets blown up. All the guys with machine guns and bazookas and all this shit get just completely terminated. And out through the rubble comes who, Ken?
Chuck Norris, a.k.a. Booker.
Chuck Norris.
And of course, they got the lone wolf music too. You hear in every single cowboy western.
Yes, and they referenced the lone wolf, because he was Lone Wolf McQuade.
Yeah.
So I read this. Sylvester Stallone had Norris do this. Norris had not been in a film in a while, and I think as of right now, this was the last film he was in. He was 71 years old. He was 71 at this point. So he had done, I think before this, he was in Dodgeball for that quick little jokey part at the end there.
Yes,
which was a few years before. But he comes out and Stallone talked him into doing the joke, the Norris joke that they do in the movie. At one point, Barney says to Booker, he says, "I heard you were bitten by a king cobra," and Booker says, "After 5 days of grueling and incredible suffering, the cobra died," which is every Chuck Norris joke in the book.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They say, "Hey, look, you want to come on and be part of the team?" And he's like, "Nope, I'm solo, man." He's like, "I'm a solo act. I'm David Lee Roth, circa 1985. I don't do this stuff anymore." So he leaves. And now I got to ask you, Ken, unless I missed a huge piece of dialogue, and again, it doesn't matter because it's this kind of movie, but it seems like the main thrust of the Van Damme character is he's mining for plutonium. Do they ever get into why? Did I miss
No.
Okay, so it's just the basic bad guy looking for plutonium plot.
As we call it on the ODPH, it's reasons.
Okay.
And that is just basically the universal, it just happens, let it go.
Yep. That's honestly what I thought. And I just thought to myself when I finished watching it, I went, did I miss something? Was he building a missile that I didn't see any of? Okay.
I think he might have made a quick reference, something about weapons, but I always just assume, like, if you're mining for plutonium, it's kind of like when Cobra Commander used to go, like, mine for energy. It's like you're building something. So it's like, okay.
Van Damme is building the mass device, maybe. So we also end up meeting a town full of women. They're hiding all of their men. They're hiding their men and their boys because the Van Damme character has been coming in and stealing. It's almost like you hear about like in Africa and stuff, all the child soldiers. He's taking all of the kids and the men to work in these mines.
Yeah, so he's using them to work in the mines. Yeah, slave
labor essentially. We get a scene where I think early on he kills a guy for being tired or something along those lines.
Yeah, so, the guy wants to go home and he's like, okay, you can, and then all of a sudden he shoots him and kills him.
Kills him. That's all the setup we really are going to get to everything starting to barrel towards the end of this movie as we're going along. The Expendables decide that they're going to do whatever they have to do to stop Villain, including what I think might be the most foolish thing I've ever seen someone do in a motion picture is fly a plane into a tunnel where the tunnel is too narrow for the plane.
To start with, yes.
Ken, if you were Barney, you just took that bridge out, so you took out pretty much all of the offense or the defense they had. Could you have landed the plane and then just charged the tunnel?
See, I mean, that's the logical move to do, but this is Barney. I mean, he is not exactly, shall we say, the most tactful. He is more the fly-by-night, the live in the moment, if you will. So I'm sure he's saying, oh, I can get that plane in there. And I'm sure that somebody on his team probably should have said, this is a really bad idea. But he's like, nope, I'm the leader. You're not questioning me. This is what I do. And then, of course, like, if I'm on that team, I'm going, you know what? You fly in there. I'm coming right behind. Like, you're all set. I'm your backup.
Yeah, like, he didn't say brace yourself or anything to anybody. They're just all flying around in the back of the plane. It's
because they're expendables.
They're expendables.
Yeah, they know it's part of the job requirement. Like, I'm sure when they signed on, for the 401k and dental they're like, okay, oh yeah, it could be, involved in flying planes in the mines for reasons. Okay.
Yeah. They get trapped in a mine. The bad guys trap them in a mine and cause a cave-in. And as opposed to every other cave-in in every movie ever where, people get out for reasons, as you say, the only reason they get out is because somehow Schwarzenegger finds them and has a giant drill. Like, that was the easiest thing I've ever seen. Like, they never show a scene where Schwarzenegger and Willis's characters locate them. They just show up to save them. I'm not trying to assign logic to the Expendables 2, but even when that happened, I just went, come on, man. Like, even if you just had a scene where Stallone pulled out like a tracker or something and said, oh, good thing I always keep this on me. Nothing. Yeah. They found him. They just found him.
See, the way I reason it is they all have that same tattoo on their forearms.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that when they did that, there's a backstory that there's a tracker inside there.
Okay.
And technically Arnold has it because that's the only way that makes sense. No, I'm fully with you. It's like, what are they doing the entire time? And yet I think they're trying to basically kill Stallone's team after they win so they can get the glory. It's kind of like this weird spy versus spy thing going on.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Every time that they're in trouble, Bruce Willis's character and Arnold's bails them out and just happen to be there with like the gadget they need. Like, it doesn't matter what, but they're there.
You're right. They're there. The other thing that I found weird was the Willis character shift. So the first scene with the Willis character, he's very much like, you need to find this for me. You owe me. And if you don't find it for me, I'm going to put you in Guantanamo and, waterboard you and do all kinds of terrible shit to you. And then when they come at the end, he's like, we're here to help. I got you a new plane. Like, where was the shift? Why does he suddenly need Barney so bad? When Barney has, throughout this whole thing, if you really want to get down to it, done nothing but fuck up. He lost the box. He got a kid killed on the mission. Why does Church suddenly want to help them out so bad? I don't know. It just seems like the writers of this, including Mr. Stallone, just took like a big wet handful of spaghetti and threw it up on the ceiling. And then whatever didn't fall down, they said, okay, we're going to use that. I don't know.
The only way you can try spinning it is secretly that Bruce Willis and Stallone's characters are brothers. And he's doing it because of family, which it all ties back to the Fast and Furious.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. # family. I didn't think about that.
It has to be, because you're exactly right. He does this big character shift after, being the guy that is like literally forcing them to do this crazy mission. And then all of a sudden now he cares. And that's the one thing that, like, if you're the Expendables, you are expendable. Like, why all of a sudden are we sitting there like worried about how everybody's doing here? That is where the writing team seriously failed at. But then again, we go back to those 80s action films where a lot of those plots, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of those plots are just like, okay, we're setting up for 3 big fights and 1 really badass scene at the end. Let's just fill in the gaps in between. And that's what we have here.
Yeah, you're right. And in this one, what we have at the end of this is we have actually 3 big fights at the end, right? So we get,
of course, yeah.
We get the giant fight in the airport, which was actually filmed, I read, in I think the second biggest airport in Bulgaria. They let them film all through this thing.
Yes.
Where essentially it's Trench, the Schwarzenegger character, and Mr. Church, the Willis character, and then the various kind of underling Expendables, like having this huge firefight with like the Sang gang. And then we get Scott Adkins' character and Lee Christmas, Jason Statham. They've got to have their kind of knife fight next to a helicopter with spinning blades. And then, of course, we can't get far without Barney taking on, JCVD, Jean Villain. What was your favorite of these 3?
Oh, it had to be the JCVD one, because especially after all we've gone through, we've killed off Billy the Kid. We've gone through towns and we've had all this destruction. Now, all of a sudden, JCVD wants to have a battle of honor and respectability. Like, no, I'm going to walk around like with my arms wide open, like he was the singer of Creed, and basically say, Stallone, you could shoot me now, or you can fight me for honor. And Stallone, because, well, he is the smartest guy in the room, says, you're right. No matter everything you've done, I'm going to be honorable and fight you man to man.
Yeah, and they do the whole thing, the dropping of weapons. Stallone unbuckles 15 different, things he has with guns and everything, drops everything, and they just go to town beating the shit out of each other. Van Damme, his character gets the upper hand, and then they kind of crash, I think, through the floor. They're fighting on like another level, and then it goes to, let's get weaponed up here. Van Damme picks up his giant fucking knife again. They start going at it, but then Barney gets a chain, right? Yeah. And he just beats the shit out of him with a chain, like, to no fucking end. To no end. So just after years of thinking, hey, what would it be like to see these 2 guys fight? Were you satisfied with this fight between these 2, like, action heroes?
Absolutely not. No, because there's no way. I'm sorry. Van Damme would completely wipe the floor with Stallone.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting more kicks. We're talking kickboxer versus Rocky. And I'm sorry, if you're going to put 1-on-1 together, I'm sorry, Van Damme wins all day. But yeah, the fact that we go from the honorable fight to now all of a sudden you pick up Excalibur, because that's basically what that sword is. And Rocky is like, nope, I just need chains that are randomly in this airport. And that's what we're going to just do. Yeah.
And he, how does he kill him? Does he hang him with the chain, or?
He chokes him out, yeah.
Chokes him out with the chain. And essentially, that's the movie. He comes out, comes up, the day's saved, all the Sangs have been killed. Maggie gets on the plane with Mr. Church and Trench Mauser. They go back. Oh, before they go though, because, he somehow knew that he was going to destroy his plane, Church, in another very altruistic move, gives his plane to Stallone to fly home, and the Expendables fly home in the sunset, and everything seems to be happy again in Expendables world. That's Expendables 2. Maybe someday, Ken, you'll come back on. We could do Expendables 1 or 3.
You let me know. I'm down. John, anytime you would like me to come back on the pint, I am so here for that. But let alone for the greatness that is the Expendables. And like I say, this is the perfect summertime movie. Like I say, all you need to do is just get a PBR, get some Kid Rock, and just watch the fireworks show happen. Because literally that is about as much sense as this movie makes, but it is so damn good.
#apostrophe America right there. All right. So we got some information on the Expendables here. $100 million budget. It made 85 domestically. So it did not do up to the budget here, but it made $229 million overseas for a grand total of $315 million. So this is obviously why we got an Expendables 3. All right, let's talk about the box office the weekend this came out, August 17th through 19th.
So I'm talking about fractions of a penny here, and over time, they add up to a lot.
At number 5 that weekend, it made $11.6 million. It also opened a film called Sparkle. I had no clue what this was. I had to look it up. It said it was about a 60s era girl group that gets together.
Jennifer Hudson in this one?
Maybe. It was not familiar to me at all. Number 4, The Campaign, which I believe was the Will Ferrell, what's his name? Zach, from the Hangover, Galifianakis film. 13.1 million, out for 2 weeks. Number 3, Paranorman, 14 million. It had opened that week as well. Number 2, The Bourne Legacy, which I had never seen. That's the one with Jeremy Renner, like the side.
Yeah, that one wasn't as good.
17 million, out for 2 weeks. And number 1 with 29 million is The Expendables 2, and it is its opening weekend. All right, Ken. So we've talked about the box office. We talked about the movie. We had a good time. Before we rate this thing, why don't you give everybody out there again, everywhere they can find you on social media, everywhere they can find your show, schedules for shows, all that good stuff.
Okay, so the easiest way to get a hold of myself, Padawan J, and your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Stuffy, and the assorted friends of the show that is 607 Podcast and the ODPH can simply be found at odphpodcast.com. The social media links are right there on the front page. The Parlay Points blog section is always updated Wednesday and throughout the week if there's some always story going on or new issue that is happening. So if you definitely need some more content. And also from our good friend Dre Driven, our freelance assistant who does contribute to the show. Shout out to Dre. I know he is a Pint listener as well. And Coach Stuffy drops a sports blog in there as well. So if you're looking for more content in between shows, that's where you go. Also the directory, which has friends of the show. And a link for the Pint podcast via the Apocalypse Podchaser page. So if you definitely want to find out more about Pint, that's where you go. And that's where we always shout out during the show. So shout out to everybody in the Apocalypse as well. Also, you can check out the ODPH on your favorite podcast platform every Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll put an asterisk by it just in case a schedule conflict does cause a little bit of change. The sports show drops every Tuesday night. So we talk the best of sports and pro wrestling. And the entertainment edition drops on every Wednesday, which is movies, TV, comics, and more. And on Monday nights on Twitch, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is a live 607 TWS with myself and Rich from 3FN.
Good Lord, man. Good Lord, man. You're awesome. Yeah.
Oh, you are, man. This has been such a blast, man. So thank you so much for having me on. I'd love to come back anytime.
No, anytime, man. I'm sorry it took this long. It's one of those things where it's like I'm always trying to put stuff together, but I really said to myself when you, me, and Julio did the Stew, what was it?
Stew 100.
Stew 100. Yeah, or 1 year, whatever it was. I said, yeah, we.
Oh yeah, it's 1 year Stew.
Yeah, we got to do something. We've got to do something for sure. All right.
Oh yeah. So, Ken, Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, this has been on my list. Like, I have a hit list of shows that I've always wanted to come on and do. Like I said, before I hang up the mic, and no lie, Pint was up in the top 5 to come on.
Oh, man,
of all podcasts. So this has been something. No, absolutely. Because let me put you over too. Because like I say, you're one of the best people we've met on this entire podcast journey. And just you always put out solid content, and the show kicks ass every single episode. So like I say, we plug it all the time, and rightfully so, because you deserve it for all the work you do on it as well.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that very much. All right, let's rate this thing.
Have you gentlemen seen your midterm grades yet?
Oh, they're not posted yet, sir.
I've seen them.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I'm going to explain how I feel about the Expendables, because my rating number might be a little low, but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy this movie. So you go on Letterboxd, Ken? Do you use Letterboxd?
No, I gotta start. I admit I've been too busy with other things to do it.
I use Letterboxd, and Letterboxd gives you the option of rating a movie, but it also has after a heart that's like an icon for like this movie. I love that feature. Because I don't think giving something a low score necessarily means that you can't like something. So I'm going to use that as a caveat. Now I'm going to give the Expendables 2 a 2.5 out of 5. Now here on the pint, we do 0 to 5, quarter and half scale optional. I'm going to give it a 2.5, which is right smack in the middle. You might consider average. The action isn't as good as it should be with all these guys. But again, you got to remember most of them are older. The dialogue is pretty wonky. The plot is pretty threadbare. That being said, I still have a fun time watching this movie. This isn't a 2.5 where I'm like, I'll never watch this again. It's more of a 2.5 because I could picture this being like a solid 3.25 or a 3.5. I could picture the movie that would make me go a little bit further into it. I think I would give the first one a little bit more. I think I enjoy the first one a little bit more. But this one here, it starts with a bang. You know, you get action interspersed throughout the whole thing. It's super fun to see these people playing together and obviously having a good time. So I'm going to give it a 2.5, but I'll use what we say here sometimes. I'll give it a solid 2.5, meaning this is an enjoyable film. But in the end, it's a 2.5. Ken, what do you give 2012's on, again, 10th anniversary of the Expendables 2?
I will also agree with you that it's a 2.5, and especially for the heart feature as well, because let's face it, when you go to these movies, and like I touched upon, the great American trilogy is known as Fast and Furious, Sharknado, Expendables, you're not going for plot. I'm sorry. If that's what you're going for, I really have questions. And I mean that with the nicest sincerity, listening audience. But let's be honest, you're not going for a script. You're going to see shit get blown up, and you're going to just see your favorite action stars from years past get together and basically say, we still got it. The script is awful. The dialogue is even worse. The characters really have no sense, and half the time they're breaking because it just really feels like they're just on camera and just doing their own thing. But that's the magic of this franchise, that they're just letting loose and taking newer audiences back to a time period where this was the normal of action films. Like, there really wasn't a lot behind them other than a budget of $100 million. And like I say, 3 scenes where a lot of stuff blows up and somebody usually dies a crazy death and no police ever ask them questions about it because, you know, it's reasons. Like, you see Stallone walk out of something unscathed, like, okay, I'm just gonna go in my car and drive home. But that's the beauty of these films. And that's why I say this one, for nostalgia reasons, I give it a 2.5. And I agree with you. After the first 10-minute intro, like I say, I was up doing the standing ovation with the dog there too. It just kind of falls off because it's like, all right, where do we go from here? Because the opening sequence, like, we forget, there's jet skis involved, there's zip lines. It is so over the top.
Not even a zip line. They're ziplining down high power wires, which I'm pretty sure.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure you can't do, but that's just, I'm not a scientist and or an electrician, or I know nothing about electricity, but it just seems like that might not work out for the best.
Yeah. And especially they're still shooting at people too.
Yes.
Like, and they're hitting with pinpoint accuracy as well. Of course. Meanwhile, the highly skilled soldiers there are missing completely. Like I said, this is the perfect example of live action G.I. Joe in the history of film. And it just holds up for that reason. Like, you turn your brain off, you go to be entertained, you don't go in with any kind of sense of like, I am sitting through a cinematic masterpiece. other than you're just going to go there and have a good time. And that's what this film should be. And like I say, after the opening sequence, he could have got up and left and you wouldn't have missed anything except Van Damme doing Van Damme things.
Yeah.
And it's, like I say, but if you stay for it, you just got that cherry on that proverbial exploding sundae.
All right. Well, I think that's fair. 2.5 across the board. Again, go check Ken out. You just heard him talk about all the stuff. Even if you check one out first, just keep going through everything else and get the full ODPH experience. You can find us weekly. We have a Patreon/The Pint, and it is $2.50 a month. You get all kinds of extra stuff, and just keep coming back all summer long and all winter long, and enjoy the show. Until next time, I'll say the words I say, and that is see ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!